What's going on, traders? Few things to talk about. Hope everyone enjoyed their week, made money this week. We're going to get straight into it. Like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So right now we're looking at the Nasdaq, and interesting enough, this is something I kept pointing out in the Discord. You keep on just rejecting the top of this rising wedge. Now, it's not a very convincing break towards the downside. I'm not going to jump the gun and say we're going to break towards the downside here. It's not very convincing considering that you're just consolidating here versus just, going down, creating, lower highs, lower lows, and heading all the way to a potential target of 20,800, which will be the measured move or the short-term projected measured move for this rising wedge. But you definitely want to keep this in mind that this is a possible scenario that if we manage to break below this key level here of 21,300, which is this yellow line here, you can head much lower towards 20,800 range. But ultimately, let's say this pattern just somehow gets invalidated. Well, then you will be looking at a break through this area, a potential break above this rising wedge, or possibly just consolidate to the point that you get around this rising wedge, and then you continue towards the upside, and you could be looking at a potential move towards 22K if we manage to hold above 21,500. We've seen all day today that the Nasdaq was trying to get above that key level of 21,500, which is your psych level, and ultimately, bulls ended up failing towards the end of the day, which is no surprise. I imagine no one wants to really hold calls heading into the weekend, and so I imagine there was some profit taking heading into close. Nothing too crazy from what we can tell, but ultimately you do have that potential profit taking heading into the weekend as usual, right? And so today, ultimately, not a crazy day when it comes to individual stocks. We did see the SPY head higher. We saw the triple Qs head higher. But as far as stocks individually, the Mag 7, you really didn't get much action. And so, again, if NQ can just hold 21,300, we are fine, or bulls, I should say, are fine. Now, if we manage to break about 21,500, then you're looking at a move towards 21,800, 21,700 range. You are in this very illiquid territory right here where all these bearish candles are, so you can continue to head higher and possibly hit 22,000 if we continue to pump higher. But this is just something you want to keep in mind. This is something you want to pay attention to. This is the 2-hour time frame. I would not ignore this, but again, as long as we stay above 21,300 on the NQ, you're okay. All right, now ES. Now, this is where things get a little scary, and we're kind of seeing things trickle towards the downside after hours. Take it with a grain of salt. You can easily, bounce back up over the weekend. Well, not over the weekend, but come Sunday market open or futures market open. But if we're looking at the ES 4-hour time frame, again, you have this rising wedge pattern. Your key level here is 59.50. We're kind of having a hard time staying above 59.50. We saw that we closed, or the market closed, but the futures market is still open. But we saw at market close, we were above 59.50. And right now we're kind of getting below that key level. So if we manage to stay below 59.50, I imagine come Monday we possibly head towards 5,900. Obviously this can change come Sunday open. We'll have to wait and see. But we hit the top of this rising wedge. We hit about we hit 59.70, and it looks like we're kind of rejecting from this area. Your key level to the upside here is about 59.90. We'll just say 6,000 is your key level, right? Your psych level. So you want to see a break, retest, and then you can possibly head higher. Ultimately, the main concern here is possible news over the weekend. We see that tariff news is starting to pop back up when it comes to Trump, which I pretty much warned about in the last video. At some point in time, Trump is going to start saying stuff about tariffs, or possibly Jerome Powell, because Jerome Powell and the Fed continue to let us know that they are not interested in cutting rates. And I do imagine that's kind of, eventually that's going to trigger Trump to actually want to do something or say something. But we're starting to see that news, that tariffs are starting to be a problem again, or potentially, I should say potentially be a problem again. Not quite there yet, but the market is just ignoring it right now, right? So something you just want to keep in mind. Like I said in the last video, some point in time, I do imagine it can be a week, it can be 2 weeks from now, who knows. At some point in time, Trump is going to want to say something or do something when it comes to getting these rate cuts. to come into fruition. So we'll see. But ES, again, your key level to the upside 59.90. We'll just say 6,000. Your key level to the downside is 5,900, 5,950, obviously, and then 5,900. And then from there, if you manage to break below 5,900, then you get pretty illiquid all the way to about 59.8, not 59, 58.50, 58.30, and then from there you can get very illiquid all the way towards about 57.50, which was a key level prior to this gap fill. So we'll see. But you'll pretty much be at the bottom of the rising wedge at this point, and then you could possibly either reject from there or you continue lower. So those are your two scenarios when it comes to the ES and the Nasdaq. And so if we look at the SPY here, it goes without saying 595 was your key level, and as you guys can see, we hit the top of this rising wedge. I talked about this in the last video. As long as you stay above 585 on the SPY, 600 is very much possible. 598, 600 is very much possible here. But you hit the top of this rising wedge. We're on a 4-hour time frame, as you guys can see. Top of this rising wedge. We're currently rejecting it. We hit 595, and come Monday, we can either head back towards 586, 585, or we just continue to grind higher. This is something I mentioned in the last video, where you just do one of these over and over until you hit about 600, 598, and then we'll have to see what happens from there. Now, just because this rising wedge is here doesn't necessarily mean it has to play out. I've seen plenty of times where rising wedges do one of these. You just break out of it, and then you do one of these, and then eventually you roll back into it. So it doesn't necessarily mean this has to play out, but so far you're seeing the reaction to it, right? You got your rejection here, and heading into close, we saw another rejection here, all the way from about 595. So as long as you stay above 585 on the SPY, like I said before in the last video, you can definitely see a move towards 598, 600. You can definitely just continue to just grind a little bit higher, and that's kind of what we witnessed today, right? I said that we could just keep grinding higher. We don't have to break down in order to create space. We could just keep going and going and going until whatever happens, right? So something you want to pay attention to. Your key level to the downside obviously is 592. You break below 592, you're heading to 590. Your psych level after 590, you can start heading towards that 585 level all over again, and then we'll have to wait and see what happens from there. But ultimately, you got plenty of space to the downside. You got this gap fill all the way to the downside, so you definitely want to be careful trading within this range. So that's what I'm looking at for the SPY. Now, if we are entertaining the idea of all-time highs, right? If we are entertaining the idea of all-time highs, I would imagine that the SPY will want to see 620, somewhere around there. Let's go to the monthly time frame here. Hopefully I remember this because I keep erasing it. But if we look at the SPY monthly time frame, here it is. Boom. So this is originally when I made a top video, and I was saying this could be the top on the SPY, and then eventually we ended up selling off, right? And so I imagine if the SPY is going to head towards all-time highs from here, which I'm still not looking at right now, but if we are going to entertain that idea, I would say that it can do one of these, hit this trend all over again. This trend might be a little bit off, but hit this trend all over again, maybe 613, 610. You're right in the range of these guys here and these guys here, and then you start to sell off all over again. So we'll see. But that's what I'm looking at for the SPY when it comes to upside and downside. Now, if we're talking about the triple Qs here, same thing. I mean, you're seeing these rising wedges all across the board. Now, the difference here with the triple Qs is that you've broken above this rising wedge, which is a good sign. The issue is that triple Qs just cannot hold above 520, right? You want to see triple Qs hold above 520, and it just continues to fail there. But I mean, this is a good sign, right? You're above 515. You're above the rising wedge pattern here. But you can easily, I mean, based off what we're seeing on the Nasdaq and the SPY, you can easily just do one of these, right? Bulls can just get trapped here, and then you do one of these, boom, boom, boom. So it's not a convincing breakout towards the upside just yet on the triple Qs. I mean, today is proof of that. You just slowly grinded higher, but you didn't see stocks like Nvidia really move. You didn't see Tesla really move. You didn't see Meta really move. As crazy as it sounds, I mean, a move for the SPY from about what 590 to 595, you would think that you would get a little bit more action from the market, and you did get some upside, but it wasn't convincing in my opinion. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. But ultimately, your key level here is 515 on the triple Qs. As long as you stay above 515, you want to see a move towards 520. We already got that move, but you want to see a hold above 520. I would just say 522 at this point because we closed at 521.51. 522 is your next key level. You manage to get above 522, then you're looking at a move towards 525, your psych level, and then highest you can go, if we're talking about all-time highs, is about 538, right where these guys are in this area right here. So yeah, now if you are holding calls, right? If you're holding calls over the weekend and everything like that, and the market blesses you with an opportunity to take profit, I would personally take it. The reason why I say this is the VIX. And then we're going to talk about quant data real quick. So the VIX is at a pretty critical area here. And so you guys know I'm not making this stuff up. I don't try to force this stuff, right? The VIX is right here, this support level right here. So we're going to need news, right? We're obviously going to need news maybe over the weekend, or maybe the VIX just plays games right here and just consolidates here. But ultimately, in order to get out of this area, and whether it's to the upside or to the downside, we're going to need news. Otherwise, the VIX is going to do this, right? The VIX is just going to do one of these, probably head towards 27, 25. And I told you guys in the last video that institutions aren't in 25 calls for the VIX. I think they're expired for June or something like that. But the VIX is in a very critical spot here. So definitely be careful. Right now, I am hedging my positions. So I'm playing both sides, right? Because I do not, over the just based off the tariff news, the potential tariff news we've gotten off of Trump today, talking about tariffs all over again. This is something you don't want to just go all in on calls, right here. I would hope this makes sense, right? This makes perfect sense. I mean, here you see here you reject it, right? And then obviously the VIX just does what it wants when it comes to levels a lot of times. So you see a spike all the time, but here, you respected the level, and now you're respecting the level into close. So definitely be careful. This is an order block too in this area too. So you definitely want to be careful here, especially considering that this is the daily time frame. So that's my thoughts when it comes to the VIX. So you definitely want to be careful. I think this is a perfect market to be hedging in. Like I told you guys before in the last video, we got into XLV. I alerted Discord members to start buying XLV shares, right? We got in at around, I got in at around 127, but I alerted Discord members to get in at around 130. Yeah, 130, and right now we're up around 132. We closed at 132.59. So yeah, I mentioned this in the last video, so hopefully someone listened. So far it's looking really good. You definitely want a defensive stock in your portfolio. I know people are going to say like random things like we don't know about tariffs and all that stuff, but this is the same thing that retail traders did when I was talking about Google, right? Or even Tesla. And I'm saying retail traders like I'm not a retail trader, but you guys get the idea, right? That when I was talking about Google and Tesla, people were like, oh, it's too early. Tesla is trash right now. Elon Musk is not, he's not doing his job, blah, blah, blah. Google, their phone services is trash and all this other stuff. And it's just like traders, when the market dumps, or when certain stocks dump, or even a Mag 7 in general, traders tend to find more reasons not to buy the stock versus reasons to buy the stock, right? And it's a crazy mentality to have, right? I can give you like 10 reasons on why to buy a stock, right? I could tell you that it's down 60%. That's a 60% discount on the stock. Its PE ratio is low. I could tell you that it pays this certain amount of dividends. I could tell you that the potential of it is to head towards this point or that point. And for every good reason I give you to buy a stock, or anyone gives you to buy a stock, traders tend to find any reason to not buy into a stock at a discounted price, right? I saw this with Tesla, right? When I talked about buying Tesla shares at 220, right? I saw this with Apple. Even though Apple had a 100% hit rate off the 200 in May, people were still talking themselves out of buying Apple, right? And I thought that was crazy. People were still talking themselves out of buying Google. When you have these stocks at 50%, 60% discounts, you definitely want to buy them, right? Or you at least show some type of interest into them, right? So XLV, if we're talking about XLV, which is the healthcare sector. Sorry, I got distracted there. But the healthcare sector, you're talking about a drop. You're talking about a 30% drop here, right? Anything over a 20% drop, in my opinion, unless it's like the Mag 7 or depending on how volatile it is, this is a buy to me, right? If you zoom out here, right? And let's just go to the monthly time frame just to make life easier here. But if you zoom out, every time XLV has hit this trend line on the monthly time frame, and this has been going for 10 years straight, by the way, every time it hits this trend line, it bounces off of it. So this is something that you definitely should consider adding into your portfolio. Now, I did alert to Discord members that if XLV happens to hit the lower 120s, then I would definitely dollar cost average. But this is definitely something I'm interested in having in my portfolio, or I already have in my portfolio, but I'm interested in keeping in my portfolio as well. So that's my little TED talk here. Again, stop finding reasons not to buy a stock versus reasons to buy a stock. Or buy a good stock, I should say. Don't just go buying anything, but it's your account. Do what you want at the end of the day. All right, so that's my little rant right there. Sorry about that, but Tesla. So when it comes to Tesla, if we look at quant data here, interesting enough, there's a lot of 400 calls that came in today, and they're set to expire for June 6th. So you got 400 calls here. You guys see it here. They came in today, right? They came in this morning. Tesla, June 6, 2025, 400 strike calls. They were loaded at 348.71. There's your quantity, and then you got your premiums here. And this is not the only one. You see it like across the board where you're just seeing a lot of these calls coming in when it comes to Tesla. Now, it's important to note that Tesla is supposed to have its robo-taxi event sometime in June, in the beginning of June. The rumors are like June 1st. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you have an actual date, but I don't think there's an actual date set. I think it's just like set for June. There's rumors around June 1st. But when you're looking at Tesla here, let's go back to the charts here. When you're looking at Tesla, Tesla looks actually really good here. Now, it's important to note that if we zoom in here, you do have a double bottom here, and you broke above the neckline here on Tesla. So right about here, you broke the neckline. It's a little bit off. It's about right there. Yeah. So you did break the neckline here on Tesla, and then you had your bottom here. You can argue that this is a triple bottom as well if you want to, count this. Sorry about that. That's a bit, I don't know why that happened, but you can talk about this being a triple bottom as well. You guys get the idea. Bottom here, another bottom here. Okay, and so far you're breaking, or you broke above the neckline at around 294. Now the measured move for this, and I talked about this in the last video, is that Tesla can go as high as 366. That's just my target. It can obviously head higher than that if we're being greedy or optimistic. 366, 370 is a target I'm looking at for Tesla, and you're not too far off from there. Okay, so you can definitely head a little bit higher. And then I believe Elon Musk tweeted like Tesla's stock share, but you definitely want to see Tesla get above 350. It's having a hard time doing that, so that's something you want to pay attention to. Now, worst case scenario when it comes to Tesla right now is that it can easily just simply retest 345. If it manages to get below 345 here, then you can see a move all the way towards 335, and then lowest I'm looking at is a retest of 327, 329 range. But I do think Tesla is probably going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news type of a deal when it comes to the robo-taxi event. You still got like 2-3 weeks until that happens. So yes, Tesla can take some dives here and there prior to it, but ultimately I do think Tesla is just going to continue to pump into this event. So we'll see. But right now, Tesla looks pretty good. I would argue that it's kind of overextended here, but it closed above a key level of 345. Would have liked to see it get above 350, but as you guys can see, if we're looking at quant data once again, there's a lot of 400 calls coming in for the month of June 6th. So yeah, you got your double bottom here. The measured move for this double bottom is about 366, 370. So it's definitely possible that Tesla can get some more upside. It's just a matter of breaking that 350 target. All right, so that's what I'm looking at when it comes to Tesla. So you guys keep asking me about gold. All right, so gold can play out two ways, and Discord members, I put out a chart here, or a chart in the Discord. Gold can play out two different ways here. So if we are looking, I'm trying to find it, where is it? Oh, so if we're looking at the daily time frame here, you have this daily double top here. So you got your top here and your top here, and then you broke the neckline, but right now you're breaking back above the neckline. So my original target when we broke the neckline was about 3,100. We went as low as about 3,120, but now we closing back above this neckline. Now, the reason why I say this is important is because if we're looking at the daily time frame and we zoom out, you have a bull flag here. So you got your top there, and then you have another top here. It's not going to be perfect, but you guys get the idea. You have a bull flag here when it comes to gold. So either the double top is going to play out, which is possible that it's not going to play out considering that you closed above 3,200, or this bull flag is going to start playing out. And if you're talking about the flagpole here, it's pretty long. Okay, it's pretty long. It's really, really long. Like long. All right. So yeah, I mean it can get pretty crazy, and just, you know, if you want to play gold to the upside, I wouldn't blame you. It can easily do one of these moves, right? It can just bounce from here, continue towards the upside, and honestly, it can, if this plays out, like if we're talking about this flagpole playing out, this thing can head towards 4,000. Like, not even joking. Now, I did pass my freaking prop firms account as well in the Discord here, right? So if we look in the Discord, I trade nothing but gold. So a lot of you ask me, do I trade gold and all that fun stuff? But yeah, I pretty much showed it here. I think it was yesterday. But as you guys can see, members are killing it as always. This guy here again came from $6,000 account. He's all the way at $36,000, you know. And then I showed everybody I passed my prop firm account here, 100K account. So all I trade in my prop firm account is gold. So I actually do trade gold. I just don't trade the stock gold. So yeah, I traded it all the way from 3,300 all the way down to about 3,150. So that's pretty much how I passed my prop firm account. But we're talking about this bull flag. If this plays out, guys, you got a lot of money on the table. A lot of money on the table. But, you know, do what you want with that. So overall, that's my thoughts when it comes to the overall market. I'm laughing at the thumbnail because it's going to piss people off. But overall, be careful heading into next week. Pay attention to the VIX, right? I'm not saying it has to bounce from here, but you definitely should not be surprised if it does. And like I said before, when it comes to Trump, you're starting to see that the terror stuff start to trickle in. And like I said, he's going to start saying stuff. He's going to start saying stuff because he wants the Fed to cut rates. He's made it clear that he wants the Fed to cut rates. And so you definitely want to be careful here. But if you get above 21,500 on the Nasdaq, you have potential for more upside. I'm not a fan of this rising wedge, but I'm also not a fan of how it broke down. It's not convincing in my opinion, right? Triple Qs looks okay. Actually, it does not look okay. I guess TradingView like move my trend lines. Let me check. Yeah, TradingView move my trend lines. So scratch what I said before about triple Qs being above this. I don't know why TradingView does that. I'm so sorry, guys. But yeah, ultimately, triple Qs rejected the top of its rising wedge. TradingView did this for some reason. I don't know why, but it does that sometimes. You guys let me know how to fix that. But yeah, so far, as long as you're above 515, I would say you're okay. You can easily just continue to grind higher and just, again, you can just keep doing this until whatever happens. You can just break out of here until whatever happens, or you can just break completely down from here. So this weekend, I'm not going to lie to you guys, if you are in calls, it's going to be scary. All right, it's going to be Diddy party scary, so you want to be careful. And the reason why I say it's going to be scary because any type of news can come out in regards to tariffs, especially considering where we are in the overall market. So this is kind of scary. I'm not going to lie to you guys. All right, I'm not going to lie to you guys. All right, Bitcoin. I don't know what this thing wants to do anymore. I don't. I mean, it's just stagnant here. There's not much to go off of. It's just consolidating here. Like I said, I mean, as long as it stays above 102K, there's hope for it to head to 108K, possibly 112K. And if it does that, then obviously the market will follow along. But yeah, I mean, it's not much to talk about here. It just keeps consolidating within this range, right? And surprisingly, the Coinbase news didn't really affect it. Retail traders are really holding this market up pretty strong, right? So that's why the fear and greed index is like all the way in greed, because we're being greedy, right? We're trading to the upside despite what, no matter what news we get, we just keep trading towards the upside, right? And that's fine, make your money. But that's what I have for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think Monday is going to be, as you guys will say, Black Monday? Do you guys think the market is going to continue to head higher? Are we heading towards all-time highs, given everything that we've just seen, given the news that we've gotten, given the economic data we've gotten, given what the Fed has been saying? Do you guys think we're going to head towards all-time highs, or is it only a matter of time? You guys know where I stand when it comes to the overall market. Hate it or love it. Regardless, I don't care. I don't care about the hate towards me and things like that. I'm just here to make money. And when people just talk and insult me, I just assume they're not making money in the market. But let me know what you guys think. Until the next video, traders, enjoy your weekend. I want to see Final Destination tomorrow. I really do. So enjoy your weekend. And until the next video, traders, have a good one.